My name is Grace Mitchell. I'm 34 years old. And 3 months ago, I stood outside my sister's $200,000 wedding and invited. The moment still plays in my head like a cruel little film. The St. Regis lobby glowed with chandeliers and champagne flutes. I wore a navy clearance rack dress and heels that pinched. But I stood tall. I wasn't flashy like Victoria, but I looked good. I was ready to celebrate her big day. Even if I wasn't in the bridal party or mentioned in the program. Then, the woman at the reception desk looked up at me, confused. "I'm sorry, ma'am, you're not on the guest list." I laughed at first, a soft, embarrassed kind of laugh. I thought maybe it was a mistake, a glitch. Maybe someone forgot to type Grace into a spreadsheet. So I called Victoria, she answered. That was my second mistake. Her voice was icy. "Grace, I didn't think you'd actually come. I'm at the front desk. They said I'm not listed." Silence. Then, "I didn't include you, Grace. I didn't want to make things uncomfortable. I repeated, stunned. "It's not personal," she said. "It's just some of Robert's friends and colleagues are here. They're high level. It wouldn't make sense, image-wise, to have you sitting there. I hope you understand." I felt my breath catch, like someone had pressed a hand over my mouth. "You're saying I don't fit the image of your wedding?" I asked. "Grace, you're not I'm a success story." I couldn't speak. Not then. Not without trembling. So, I did in single quotes T. Instead, I reached into my back and pulled out the envelope I'd prepared weeks ago. Ivory, handwritten, sealed with care, to Victoria and Robert, a wedding gift. I handed it to the front desk woman with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Could you make sure the bride gets this?" And then I turned. I walked out, past designer gowns and laughing guests, out into the crisp October night. The wind bit at my skin, but I didn't shiver. I had never felt more invisible in my life. But something strange settled in me as I walked away. Not rage, not even grief. Power. They always loved to say Victoria was the star, the one with the polished LinkedIn page, the designer wardrobe, the boyfriend who turned into a hedge fund husband. I was the other one, the older sister who never quite lived up, the one who played with houses, as Victoria liked to joke at family dinners, but they didn't see the 16-hour days. They didn't see the spreadsheet taps that never ended, the clients I chased down while eating stale protein bars in my car. I wasn't flipping houses, I was building something, slowly, quietly. And alone. I didn't get engagement toasts or baby shower invites. I got passed over birthdays and half-hearted texts. They posted matching family pajama photos while I worked through holidays. Mom once told me, "You should smile more on social media. You look tired." God, I was tired. I spent years grinding while Victoria sat center stage, gathering applause like oxygen. At her engagement party, I wore a black sheath dress from Target. She wore a custom Zimmerman gown. I brought a bottle of wine and a card. She laughed and said, "You still do handwritten cards?" That's kind of sweet, in a vintage way. Even when I succeeded, they didn't see it. When I bought my first investment property, no one cared. When I renovated a 6-unit brownstone with my own hands and leased it to single moms trying to get back on their feet, Dad said, "You ever think about going corporate like your sister?" Going corporate, right? What they didn't know, what they never asked, was that I'd been working quietly with some of the sharpest real estate minds in the city, that my properties were being watched, that Blackstone had been circling. And when the offer finally came, senior VP, acquisitions, overseeing $500 million in assets, I didn't tell a soul. Not out of secrecy, out of survival. Because after 8 years of being dismissed, talked over, and written off, I realized something. I didn't need their approval. I needed myself. So when Victoria's wedding came round, I made a decision. I bought the penthouse she'd been dreaming about, the one she'd circled in magazines and mood boards. I paid in full, all cash, and I did it in her name. I was going to surprise her. I was going to hand her the deed, tell her that no matter what had passed between us, I wanted her to have her dream. But then the front desk told me I wasn't invited, and I knew exactly what to do with that envelope. I didn't cry that night. I thought I would. I even brought tissues in my clutch, just in case. But I didn't shed a single tear. I walked for blocks through the crisp Manhattan air and slipped into a quiet Italian place I used to visit during my brokers, sat alone in a corner booth. Ordered the bottle of Barolo I could never afford back then, and waited. Not for company, not for closure, for the storm I knew was coming. The first text arrived before the pasta hit the table. "Grace, what the hell is this envelope? Call me now." Then, "You bought me the penthouse. You bought IT in my name. Then came the missed calls, 17, then 20, then 35, apparently. Victoria had opened the envelope at the reception, in front of her new husband and front of their friends. Inside, my Blackstone business card, the deed to the penthouse, and a handwritten note that said, "To my brilliant little sister, who taught me everything I never want to be. Congratulations." She had wanted to erase me, and instead, I became the story. The whispers spread fast. Phones came out. Google searches happened. People who had brushed me off as the underachiever suddenly realized I outranked nearly everyone. In the room, Victoria melted down, publicly, but I wasn't there to see it. I was sitting in that booth, phone turned face down, smiling to myself as the server poured another glass, because I knew something she didn't. The penthouse? I no longer wanted it. The deed would be transferred first thing Monday to the Women's Shelter of New York. It would house women rebuilding their lives, women like me. My gift had already found a better home. That night, I walked home alone and free. Not from a wedding, from a family that never saw me, even when I was standing right in front of them.